A bunch of you have been asking me to cover the latest update in the Joy Infection AU created by Ali Originals, and I have to admit that I've actually been really excited for this update. Now, for those of you that don't remember, this AU is based on an episode from the amazing world of Gumball called The Joy. And as of right now, Anais, Darwin, and Gumball are all trapped inside the school with a few other students who may or may not be infected, with Gumball definitely been infected already and actually taking Darwin.
Please go. Save yourself.
We also saw that Nicole and Richard have made it to the school and found their daughter after taking out one of the infected. And now that we're kind of caught up on what's happened so far, let's go ahead and take a look at the new episode, which starts off with Nicole trying to comfort her daughter, basically saying that everything's going to be okay. But the thing that really stood out for me in this scene is how Nicole acts towards her husband. We can tell that she is really mad at this man because the power of his hug is what actually started this virus. And I kind of feel bad for him because he clearly feels guilty, and it's not like he meant for his hug to actually start a zombie virus. After that, we see Nicole and Anais getting ready to head out so that they can go find Darwin and hopefully Gumball, alongside any other kids that may have survived up to this point, with Anais grabbing a racket so that she can actually defend herself. But right after that, we see that she freezes and her eyes go wide, and we see that she has found what looks to be Darwin's like little fan cover and his mask covered in blood. And as the two hug each other, trying to give each other comfort in the fact that Darwin is probably still okay, we cut over to the hot dog guy and Billy, who are both trying to open this window in the bathroom so that they can get out, because you remember the front doors of the school are locked. But while Billy is working on the window, we see that the principal walks into the bathroom. And in case you guys don't remember, not only is this guy infected, but he was also like vomiting joy into students' mouths. And seeing Hot Dog Guy getting mauled, Billy basically makes a run for it. And honestly, I can't really blame the little dude because like what else was he gonna do? Luckily, he ends up running into Nicole and Anais, but he's so spooked at this point that he just keeps going, leaving the ladies to fight the principal on their own. And honestly, we all know that Nicole is pretty tough, and she kind of shows it here for a moment. But this guy is definitely not a normal infected, and he ends up banging Nicole up pretty good, slamming her into lockers and just throwing her to the ground here. And to make matters worse, once Nicole goes down, Anais is the next target, and he almost gets to the point where he's going to infect her with the joy, but luckily, like this rope comes out of nowhere and basically lodges itself in his mouth, keeping him from spitting up on her. And it turns out that Penny and Carrie have come to the rescue. They are both cleaning the infection and are actually a pretty great team. Even better, we see that Darwin is still alive and has managed to get away from his infected brother, although minus one fin. And then we kind of get the backstory to how he got away. And this is where we see him speaking with Gumball, trying to get him to fight against this infection.
Your love for me has helped me so much, and I want to do the same for you. Come on, Gumball. Show me that you're still in there. Yes. Gumball?
And luckily for Darwin, Carrie and Penny were there to defend him because it looks like Gumball was definitely about to take his little brother out.
You two go. I'll distract him.
After that, we get this scene where Penny is trying to act as a distraction so that Carrie and Darwin can get away, but it becomes clear that Gumball will try to maul her too if she doesn't run. So she turns into a rabbit and hightails it out of there. And honestly, besides Carrie, I think Penny is probably like the best character to survive in this type of outbreak because she just has a lot of versatility. And we can kind of see that here when she goes from a rabbit to a wolf in order to carry Darwin to make sure that he makes it to safety. Now, in every video, I usually assign at least one character the status of GOAT or aka MVP, but I'm kind of split in this one because Carrie and Penny both seem to be putting in work. Put down in the comments who you think is like the most valuable character in this AU, or do you think that they're both kind of equal? Because I also would kind of see that one as well. In the next scene, we see that they all make it to this classroom and lock themselves in. And I find it interesting that Gumball doesn't like try to break down the door or anything. And in actuality, he almost looks tired. And to add to this, he just starts to look kind of defeated. Then he just slinks away down the hallway. But I'll talk about this a little bit more in the end because I do have a theory about it. Now, back in the classroom, while this team obviously did manage to get away from Gumball, we see that Darwin did end up getting infected. So they come to the decision of having to cut off his fin. The logic being that if they don't, he may attack them, or even worse, he may attack his own sister. And then we see this.
Darwin, you're brave for this. I'm right here. I won't let you go through this alone. We're set, Carrie.
You ready? Yes. I'll make this quick. I won't let you suffer any longer.
Next, we see that the operation was successful, but Darwin is definitely a bit drained from the ordeal. And while he's resting, we see that Penny and Carrie have a brief conversation where Carrie reveals that this isn't the only infection AU that she's been in, implying that like in the past, she was actually involved in some type of zombie outbreak. And I think this may explain why she's handling this situation so much better than some of the other characters. Another thing I want to point out here is that for a moment, it looks like our crew is kind of falling into despair, realizing that many of their friends are already infected and their parents may be next if they can't figure out a way to stop this virus. But before they can plunge too deep, we see that Darwin stands up, reassuring them that they're going to beat this infection and wrapping his stub up so that he can move. And he does this just in time because right after they hear some screaming in the hallway, and we know that this is Nicole getting her butt kicked, but they have no idea who it is, and they just decide to pick up some rope and go help whoever's out there. Which brings us back to the present time where the crew has made light work of the principal. Now, back in the safe room, we see Alan and Carmen are having a bit of a heart-to-heart because Carmen is starting to freak out. And I was actually really surprised at how heartfelt and calming Alan's words were.
We're in this together. Anais, her mom, dad, and us. We're going to work hard to keep everyone safe. We can take things one step at a time, focusing on what we control, like staying calm, following and supporting each other. While it's hard to know exactly what will happen next, remember that hope and resilience can help us get through tough times, and no matter what, you're not alone in this. I'm here for you. I'll always be here.
And while as sweet as that scene was, I like how we immediately cut over to Richard, who is looking like he doesn't believe a word of what Alan just said. And when we see that he is looking at Anais's evidence board, it makes sense. I think Richard has finally started to understand just how bad this infection has gotten. And I also want to point out that I like that Anais calls them happy zombies because I feel like that is the perfect name for what is roaming around in school right now. Now, luckily, Billy and the rest of the crew are able to make it back to the safe room. And while there is a beautiful moment where Richard reunites with his son, Nicole wastes no time in making the room awkward.
But at least it didn't take the rest of us.
While I don't blame her for being mad at Richard, again, I also feel really bad for him because it isn't like he knew that his hug was going to cause this, and I want to put a point on that. Now, this scene ends on a bit of a cliffhanger with Carrie saying that she knows a place where they can hide out while trying to figure out a plan to move forward. But before the video actually ends, we get this quick scene where we see the hot dog guy finally makes it out of the window that they were working on earlier, but now he's fully infected. And what I'm predicting is that in these upcoming episodes, this AU is going to expand to outside of the school. So we're going to actually see many more people be infected, or at least that's what I'm predicting. Now, originally though, I thought that this AU was going to end just like the Joy ended in the original episode, but now it can go any which way. Based on the fact that Gumball seems to be like gassing out a little bit though, I'm wondering if enough time passes, if the infection will naturally work its way through a person's body, especially since he seems to be like oozing joy out of his body. And in a way, it seems like his brother was still able to communicate with him somewhat, even though it obviously didn't stick. Now that's my happy ending, but I think what's more likely is that this virus is actually killing these characters slowly, which is why we saw Gumball clutching his chest. I think that he's actually in pain, and if they don't find a cure, all these infected people are probably going to end up dying in the end. But hopefully that theory is wrong, because now that the hot dog dude is out in the town proper, that means that a lot of characters might end up getting packed up by the end of the series. But whatever happens, I do hope that Miss Simeon makes a appearance at some point, because I just think it'd be funny to have her in this series, especially with the principal being infected. I'm curious to see what she's going to do about that. But that's my theory for now. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here, and make sure to go check out Allie's full video, because I did leave out some of the smaller details. And we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.